Okay, I had said I would make a tutorial for Rough and Animator for a long time, so here it is. I have created a default project. It's called Demo. Don't mind the other ones. And the first thing I'm going to show you is my settings. So I have, as a preview resolution for current layer, I have full because I like quality for the layer I'm working on. And the other ones I have half. I think you can even set it a quarter, but half is enough for me. I have like the cheapest iPad that you can use the Apple Pencil on, and I've never had any lag or anything. But then again, I've never worked with too many layers either. So for me, the forward and back buttons are to next keyframe instead of one frame at a time. So when I hit these buttons on this corner, the ones with the tiny arrows, it goes to keyframes and not just a single frame. Then pressing this arrow button adds a frame when I hit the end of the timeline as well. These are pretty basic, but I'm still going over everything. The volume button functions for me do undo and redo, but I can also two finger tap to undo, 3-finger tap to redo. I've set my onion skin opacity to about 70%, I think, and this is personal preference. The previous drawings are blue and the next ones are red. I disabled touch options. Only my stylus is able to draw. My brush pressure settings are personal preference either. And then my interface is on the right. It's scaled 70% so that the buttons take less space on the tiny screen that I have. I've allowed for 5 layers to be shown on at a time, and all these options are checked on afterwards. So, onto the business. Here on the left we have a lot of handy buttons. So the first one allows you to open your project, import audio, images, and video, and export your sequence. You can also change the frame rate, resolution, and background color, but I suggest you do that before you start your project and not after you're done. For the frame rate, resolution, and background, I think the background would be okay, but changing the resolution might destroy the quality of the pixels of your animation. It might add some anti-aliasing or just reduce it, and it's not going to look the same as you did it. As well, for the frame rate, you might lose some drawings if you switch to a 24 frames per second to a 12 frames per second project. So then the settings, and then modify layers. It adds an empty layer if you need another one on top of the one that you already have, that's layer 1. And then I think the other options are going to be more straightforward once we have an animation. Add a drawing after, that would be the same button as the arrow with a plus in it. And then duplicate after would just copy your drawing and add it after. And then the other grayed out options are useful when you want to do some in-betweens. You can show and hide the timeline. You can also go full screen if you want to draw. The tool options that I have opened on right now vary with the option you have selected. So now I have the brush. If I would choose the eraser, paint bucket, or selection, it changes the options as well. So for the brush option, you can pick the color. I'll just select an orangey thing. You can save some colors, which I don't know how actually. How do you save a color? Long press to replace. I've never used that one. That was my belly. Okay, so, alright, I saved that one. You can pick a brush shape. I've never tried adding one, but you can add a PNG format with blank background. You can randomize rotation, which I did if I were to use, I think, this one. So it adds like a bit of texture Whereas if you don't randomize the rotation, the brush is going to be not rotating. Undo. But I'll stick with this one. I have the brush size, opacity, and spacings, and you can draw in front, draw behind, and draw inside as well. What that would do is that if I have this and I pick a totally different color like blue, which I'm going to save right now. Okay. If I draw in front, it goes above. If I draw behind, it goes behind. And if I draw inside, it allows me to color my line a different color. The eraser is pretty straightforward. You just erase. The paint bucket is very simple as well. It leaves a little bit of an outline, so I think the fill blur and fill expand will help you with that. Say I would draw a circle. If you add some more of this, you'll lose this tiny outline that you see here. And you can sample this layer, you can sample this layer and all the above layers, sample all layers. And again, fill in front, fill behind, and fill aside. The selection is easy as well. You just select, and then you can immediately rotate it, scale it. Too bad you can't warp it, because I would love some motion like this, so I could just warp the thing. I've never used these, but you can move your selection pixel by pixel and scale and rotate it. Like if you want a character, say, that would walk towards the camera, you could increase the scale of the character evenly using this percentage. Like every frame it would get 110% bigger than the last. And you can also flip it like this. You can delete. And you can select all of the things and delete them all at once. This is very useful. Then we have undo and redo. The play button, if you have an animation. The backwards and forward frame, and then this little slider that goes like this, that allows you to kind of flip back and forth more organically. And then the onion skin. So, we have a timeline, which is going to be our main attraction of the day. This is where we're gonna pace our animation. So what I'm gonna start out with is just a bouncing ball to begin with. And I'm just gonna make a ball, create another picture like this, flip it just to see where I'm going, and just add some drawings. And I can also flip like this. But it's kind of less... I like to just flip with the buttons. I haven't got really used to that tiny slider thing. So it just rolls around. And then I can hit play, and it's just going to be a bouncing ball. And it goes a little bit fast. So the first thing we can do about that is just change the exposure. So now every drawing is just one frame at a time. If I were to be 20 frames per second, and I had 24 frames here, it would be just a second, and it's going by way too fast. So I can double expose them, and they're going to be a little longer on screen. Oh, wow. This is a new feature. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So, now it's better. We can see what's happening. I can label my drawings, like this is the first drawing. Could be a key, like let's say that the one that squashes is a key, and I'll just label it K. This is really helpful once you have too many drawings. You also have a background layer, so I could just draw a line. It would be useful to have like a setting that would help you make a straight line in this software. So this is going to be my background, and I can add a layer on top that would be like this, and I could just make a new animation. I can add a copy timing to blank layers, so I could say lower the opacity of my previous layer, pick a different color, and clean it. If I have a rough animation, that would be very useful. I can also name my background, my layers, let's say clean. And then here I have the delete drawing, make cycle, add a drawing before, edit multiple. So if I were to be smart, I could just select all my drawings and then, oh no, I cannot increase the drawing duration. Too bad. But I could delete them all. I could move them all. If I were to do this, let's say, it would move my whole animation, as you can see. They're all selected. So if I undo, it's all moved away. So, thank you. I can add a drawing before. No, this goes back to... What is this button about? Oh, it moves my drawing. Okay. So what I'm going to do to show you this is going to be a breakdown. And then, as you can see, it moves up and back on the timeline. You can see how many drawings you have here. Okay. So here I'm on... No, I want the brush. Frame 1 out of 24. And here I'm on frame 2 and 3 and 4. So this helps to count where you are, how long your animation is. This would be frame 24. I'm just gonna show you how the cycle option works. I'm gonna create a new empty layer, and I'm gonna tone them down, and it's just gonna be an up and down ball again, just to keep it easy. And this is gonna be a cycle, because it just goes up and down. But as you can see, my layer is way longer, so I am gonna add an empty frame. I'm gonna make it way longer, and then I'm gonna make it a cycle. So here I'm gonna be on the first frame of the empty frame, and I have 5 frames before that I want to cycle. So it took me some time to figure out how this works. I was just gonna cycle the previous 5 frames for the duration of that empty frame. And so you could use that for a walk cycle, or if you have a motion that's cycling whereas some other parts of your animation aren't, this would be easier than copy pasting your drawings all the time. There's so many options in this tiny software. It's hard to wrap my mind around it. If I were to add some in-betweens over here, I'll show you on the onion skin. I can add a drawing after. So this drawing is empty, as you can see it's blank, and I could just make it in between. I can duplicate it after, or split halfway, and if I add a split halfway, it's just gonna separate the duration of this frame. So if it were 8 frame, it will be 4. If it's 4, it'll be 2, etc. It just cuts the cake. And then you can add some in between. So if you have an easy easing in or easing out animation, it helps to pace it. And then you can just add, like if you were to go from here to there, you would just first make one drawing here, then one here, then one here, so that you kind of cut it in the middle all the time, if that makes sense to anyone beginning out. Yeah, that is just basic software stuff. You can merge down your layer, delete the layer, and that's pretty much it. You don't have to save anything. You just close your project. If you were to import some audio, let me browse here. I can take my sister voice that I animated on, and you can't edit the audio in the software, so it has to start exactly where you want. If you have a blank of audio before it starts, then you're not going to be able to cut it. So it has to start right away. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I think I'm done. Tell me if you have any questions.